Hello, beautiful souls, Satnam. So, today I want to talk all about the spiritual heart in Tantra. This is a very, very profound concept and space to really connect to. And I want to talk all about how to really work with the spiritual heart, and most importantly, how it's quite different than the heart chakra. So, this is another thing that I really wanted to mention, is how the spiritual heart really differs from the heart chakra, and just really how incredibly profound the spiritual heart is. And once we really connect with it and work with it properly, we can really accelerate our spiritual growth. This again is a very beautiful, profound source and space to be in. And it's something that I often have my clients and the people that work with me really connect to, because once we really understand again how to work with it and tap into it, it really can be very transformative. You know, sometimes it can almost be like a Kundalini awakening once we really let it just flood our whole body with its beautiful energy. So that's what I want to talk about today. And again, I really wanted to mention how this is different from the heart chakra and heart chakra therapies. Although, of course, you know, the heart chakra is really profound on its own. It's different than the heart chakra because the heart chakra is located more in the subtle body. Although the spiritual heart does have a connection to the heart chakra and is a part of it, but it is still separate on its own, if that makes sense. So the spiritual heart is more connected to the Hridaya Marma, which again is a Marma point in Ayurveda. So I hope that's not too confusing. It's just important to make that distinction, that the heart chakra is more located in the subtle body, and really the spiritual heart can be seen as something that is much more mystical and just like more, I don't know, like cosmic in a way. Like it really is something that like helps us, I think, more directly connect us to the etheric body more than anything. So it's like even more subtle than the heart chakra. But again, the therapies for the spiritual heart are so profound, and again, unlike most other therapies within Tantra and yoga. So again, while it does encompass the heart chakra, it's not in and of itself the heart chakra, if that makes sense. And really, within Dharmic healing, we use the heart chakra more in kind of yogic therapies, whereas again, the spiritual heart, because it's much more mystical, really, it is used more in tantric approaches. So the spiritual heart is not just an emotional center, but is really the core of our spiritual being, also known as the Atma. And this is the point where individual consciousness really connects and merges with universal consciousness. The spiritual heart really transcends all physical and emotional realms. So it's located slightly to the right of the chest, but really its influence permeates our entire being because it is so mystical. It's the seat of liberation, and it's where we can have direct realization of our nature as pure consciousness. So again, just to compare it a little to the heart chakra to show you how different it is, the element of the heart chakra is air, and the kind of element of the spiritual heart is pure consciousness. There isn't really like a direct element like there would be with the chakras. So really, it's beyond all elements. And again, for instance, the heart chakra is really known to be this source of compassion and love and empathy, right? And the spiritual heart is more a source of non-duality and again, just pure consciousness. The path of the heart chakra is again more energy-based awakening with the therapies, the yogic therapies that we use to really heal and awaken it. And the path of the spiritual heart is more centered on deep self-inquiry and meditation. So many sages and spiritual teachers have really emphasized the power of working with the spiritual heart as an almost instantaneous way that you can essentially awaken spiritually. So for instance, when we compare it to a Kundalini awakening, oftentimes there is years of this energy moving its way up the chakras and having that kind of be our way of awakening. But really with connecting to the spiritual heart, we can kind of almost bypass all of that and have our own unique and instantaneous really shift of consciousness and this inner bliss of just experiencing pure oneness, and again using that as a way to awaken almost instantaneously. Many Jnana Yoga teachings emphasize that so much of what yogis try to achieve by moving Kundalini up through the 7 chakras can be achieved by connecting to the spiritual heart alone. So oftentimes we can bypass a lot of that other spiritual work, which, don't get me wrong, is really powerful and beautiful on its own. But again, there is this power of connecting to the spiritual heart and tantric therapies alone that can really bypass all of that. So it's really, really, really powerful. And once you learn how to connect with it and work with it, you really also are able to just deepen your spiritual practice in many ways. I know when I first learned about the spiritual heart, I was able to really go within in a way that I felt like I never have before. I was doing chakra therapy for years. I was a, really devoted yogi for many years. But once I learned the really transformative and alchemical path of what Tantra really entails, again, I was able to accelerate so much of my own personal spiritual growth, and also just like really understand where so much of my pain was coming from, and again alchemize and transmute it and transform it into something really beautiful and powerful. It is really a portal of boundless love and inner stillness. And again, through connecting with it, we can really dissolve any barriers of separation and really kind of break down the barriers that the ego mind places, which, as we all know, the ego is so problematic for spiritual growth and development, and it's what holds people back so often from making progress on this path. Again, as we all know, the ego is so problematic. This is what so many ancient scriptures talk about, and even modern day spiritual teachers talk about the ego mind and how it really is the source of so much chaos and destruction and suffering on earth. And again, the spiritual heart helps us break down these illusions that the ego mind places, and really helps us connect to this very deeper place within ourselves that is just beyond all that is. It's pure oneness and inner stillness. And really, in many tantric traditions, you kind of have to awaken this spiritual heart if you even want to achieve this space of deep bliss, right? It's kind of oftentimes what is the missing piece and what's holding us back from, again, a lot of growth. So there are many ways to connect with the spiritual heart. There's a really, really profound meditation that I can share if you are interested. But even just certain chanting with mantras, oftentimes even working with certain Mahavidyas that really evoke the essence of what the spiritual heart really is. Again, certain meditations are really, really powerful as well. And just overall placing awareness on the space can be really powerful. So for instance, when you are doing a meditation, whatever kind of meditation that is, you can really visualize a bright, radiant light entering this space. So the overall space of where your heart resides. And this, again, alone can be really transformative and alchemical. So placing as much awareness into this space as much as possible, as much as you can throughout your day, really, again, takes you out of this ego mind and places your awareness back into your body. And again, as I mentioned, you absolutely can do a lot of yogic therapies and techniques. There is a huge overlap with the heart chakra, but I just wanted to kind of mention how it is different, because a lot of people do get confused with automatically assuming that it is the heart chakra and jumping into all of the therapies for the heart chakra and the mantras and things like that. But it is unique on its own. Of course, this isn't to say that by healing and balancing your heart chakra that you can't make progress, because you absolutely can and will. It's just unique and much more cosmic on its own. And so I just kind of wanted to point that out, that the heart chakra is more in the subtle body, and the spiritual heart is just much more mystical and really much more cosmic. Spending time in deep spaces of introspection and stillness is a really great practice. Deepening your relationships and having overall more conscious relationships is a really great way. And even bhakti, right? Devotion on its own is very powerful and really transformative. So any kind of bhakti therapies, right, that you really resonate with is really transformative. And even just surrendering the outcomes of your actions, like it's taught, right, in the Bhagavad Gita, and really kind of setting your heart on what you're physically doing, and kind of releasing the outcome of any potential results that your ego mind might have or might want, again, is a practice of bhakti as well, and can really help break down and dissolve the kind of barriers that the ego places and prevent us from achieving spiritual growth, right? Because oftentimes when we are living from the ego, there is this space of I want, I, me, mine, instead of really surrendering what we do in life to a higher source, and resting in this space of ultimate oneness and non-duality, really. I personally really love spending time in deep nature and doing a lot of contemplation practices on my own. You can also connect with the Amrita Nadi, which is a subtle channel that connects the crown chakra to the spiritual heart. And I can make a separate video on that if you're interested. But even really understanding the Amrita Nadi and how to, again, work with it is part of the process too of overall healing this energy center and this space of healing the heart overall, right? Of healing this energy, the heart chakra and the spiritual heart combined. So again, I just wanted to share a little on the spiritual heart. If you're interested, I can make more content on it. It's a really, really alchemical and transformative process. And I also just wanted to mention too that you can come up against some challenges. Oftentimes if you feel like you have a lot of wounding, a lot of trauma, a lot of past pain, all that, it can be really quite difficult to work with the spiritual heart. And oftentimes there can be a purging, but really you can look at it as a really kind of a shedding, right? And through that shedding, you are essentially being reborn, and a new version of you is coming through, which is such an integral and important aspect of the spiritual awakening process, right? There's always this constant death and rebirth that we are undergoing. So I just kind of wanted to mention that there might be some challenges in working with the spiritual heart, but don't give up, because once you really are on the other end of it all, it's really, really powerful. You're just a much more awakened version of yourself. So that was it for today's video. Again, let me know if you guys want more content on how to work with the spiritual heart. And I hope you all have a beautiful day, and we will talk soon. Bye.